Hey, you guys want to come? All right, come on, Galileo. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Good morning, guys. So, we're just going downstairs, heading to the studio, and because we're going to do a live, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and we're going to open the Capital Cafe to a lot of guests, and we're going to show them today basically a backstage tour of the studio. And I just got a lot of notifications. There's a lot of people in the waiting room. And after the backstage tour, I'm going to break down one of our billion-dollar funnels. But you've got to just see this quickly. These guys, they just love going in the elevator. It is just the sweetest thing. But if you don't open the door fast enough, the light turns off on you. So anyway, so we're down in the studio, and I'm going to take you for a quick little tour and a show and tell before I open up the main Zoom room. You guys want to come in the studio too? They're so funny, these guys. Golden Retrievers. You are never ever alone when you see them. So anyway, so this was the space here. Basically, this is what I call a speakeasy studio. So it's right here next to the elevator. We had this like big crawl space, and I decided that I'm just going to build a studio in here. So I literally have just recently finished it, and not all of it is done yet. Some of it you'll see, like the door hasn't been stained yet, but welcome to the studio. The whole space is, I would say, about 14 feet by 12 feet, and I'll give you a little tour of it in a second, including the ceiling with soundproof tiles, by the way, a very handy pull down green screen, which allows me to basically put myself over my content and engage with my content in a super nice way. So I'm going to give you a real rundown on exactly what everything does in a second, but some of it you can't see on the main camera. So that's why I'm going to give you a little rundown through here first. So that is a backup computer. So in case all of this tech fails, there's just a regular computer. That's the computer, by the way, I did my first ever live event on. So it works just fine. All the other computers are down there. There is also a fan here because you can imagine with all this lights and stuff, it gets pretty hot in here. The wall coverings, I mean, I built the whole room by myself, basically with sheetrock. Built the floor. The floor is from Sam's Club. The door is from Lowe's. This is from Home Depot. There's sheetrock behind it, but it's quite tall. So you should have seen me on a ladder trying to put up the sheetrock. One of my clients, Joris, actually came and helped me put the ceiling up because those are 12-foot boards. I also realized I just forgot one of the lights that has to be turned on manually. So I have a remote for that. There we go. Not working for some reason. This is always a thing. It takes me like 15 minutes to get this all set up. But the wall is actually a hard surface, but it's polystyrene behind it, and you order this whole thing in panels. They're like 3-foot panels that come from Amazon, and they come delivered, and you basically cut them and glue them to the wall. That whole thing took about half a day. Then the screens, these are old Dell computers still from our New York office that have the ability to switch vertically. So what I do with those, this one gets the chat. No, this one is all the attendees are here that I can unmute. That one gets the chat. Anyway, I'll walk you guys through all of this stuff in a second, but I wanted to give you a quick little behind the scenes tour, including behind the scenes of the behind the scenes. So this, as you'll see, is the crawl space. I mean, it's not really crawl space because it's 14 feet high, but that is a giant rock that our house is built on. But this is basically what the space looked like. Air conditioning, all of that, it came through diagonally through here, so I had to reroute all the air conditioning. There's Galileo, hi. He's my assistant. And his sidekick, Romeo. Giuseppe's outside there. Giuseppe, you gonna come and say hi? Giuseppe's like, yeah, I don't know. He's so cool. These screens are all Samsung TVs, 65-inch TVs. And basically, I think we're ready to do the tour now. I will now show you exactly how this works, how the studio basically allows me to connect with thousands of people without ever leaving the house. And it's a really, really nice and efficient way in order to connect with the people in your tribe, the people in your community, the people on social media, and most importantly, obviously, my live events where I will literally spend 3 days in here teaching people how to raise capital, attract clients to their business, show them exactly how to do it. And by having a total control of my space like this, it really allows me to not waste time traveling, booking hotels, getting strip searched by the TSA and, all sorts of other pleasant experiences. So anyway, bear with me for a quick second because I've got to now come in and I see that the timer is almost ready. I've got to open up the waiting room. Let's see how many people have checked in here so far. So we've got 94 people checked in to the event right now, and obviously it's also going to go out on LinkedIn Live and YouTube. So anyway, bear with me for like 30 seconds. I'll open up the waiting room and let you guys in. All right, bye. Okie dokie, Smokey. Good morning. How are you guys? It is super cool. Hey, Christopher is in the house. Long time no see. That is wonderful. And Joris, your ears must have been burning. I was just talking about how you came to help me with these 12-foot like sheetrock things. Sound okay for everybody right now, because we're doing this in multiple Zoom rooms. Everybody's muted, but I will unmute you if you raise your hand, your digital hand. On the Zoom thing, you can raise your hand like that, and it will pop up, or in the chat. So the agenda for today, this is about as scripted as the whole thing gets, is first of all finish the tour of the studio, so that I can show you exactly how this whole thing works, and then if you have any questions of how to like build this at home and want to create something like this for you, because it's an absolute godsend, not only for recording social media content and things like that, but really to put it somewhere in the middle of your funnel so that you don't need to get out on an aeroplane and book hotel rooms and go and take people that are a complete waste of time out for dinner just to hear that they are not a suitable prospect. You see what I mean? So a digital environment like this, it is really amazing. My productivity has just gone nuts and through the roof. Alone, some of you guys have been in like little spontaneous, impromptu little coffee shop meetings. The other night, Joris, I had a miserable day and a rough day, and I'm like, Joris, bourbon, Capital Cafe now, and we ended up having a wonderful little session. But there is a really cool little key that you don't see of what goes on behind the scenes, because I have a couple of these type of cafes, and one of them is purely a list building mechanism. Because the rules are always, you build your well before you're thirsty, right? You don't want to try and sell something to somebody and then realize, oh crap, I've got like 3 people on my list, right? You want to be building a list. So I have a cafe like this called the Magnum Cafe, where everybody that I want to have a Zoom call with, or everybody that tries to sell me something, or anybody that wants to, those pitch slappers you get on LinkedIn, the guys who like, got 15 minutes or whatever, and sometimes it's interesting and I'll jump in it, but I force everybody to come into my cafe because it captures their name, their email, and their phone number, and they join my wait list, or my email list. And without realizing it, that's, I don't know, at last count, probably 1,000 people a year that are coming in to like little events that have had the benefit of my, ridiculous sense of humor or my off color. I don't know. I think I'm borderline Asperger's. I just say the most dumbest shit comes out of my mouth. You know what I mean? But it's authentic and it's real. You see what I mean? So when you've connecting with these kind of people and they haven't blocked you, they're actually part of your community. So my system literally drags everybody in there. So then when I'm doing an event, I can market it to people who actually know me, who've seen me before, who've signed up for some of my stuff, who've downloaded some of my videos, all that kind of thing, which is how I get about a 97% show up rate at my events. Okay, so if you guys are keen and, you know, really open invitation, if you've got questions, raise your digital hand or drop it in the chat and I'll gladly take you through this. So a quick little show and tell of the space here. The thing I want to show you is actually right behind my head. So let me switch to the other side, right? So that little box, which is now on the other side where I can't reach it, right? Okay, I'm going to screw around with this. This thing that's right behind me here with the buttons is actually the key to the whole thing. And it's probably the most valuable tool. I'm literally pressing it right now to move myself over to the other side. So that is called an ATEM Mini Pro. I will drop that in the chat, okay? I've got the wrong keyboard selected. This is the problem when you've got so many computers that are all linked to one keyboard. I'm constantly typing on the wrong thing. So this is an ATEM Mini Pro. And what that is, it's a little hardware switcher, which is nice. So even if the power fails or whatever, it will, not the power fails, but you know, the internet goes down, it will still work. And you'll see there are 4 buttons. So that allows me to switch between my camera number 1, my camera number 2, my iPad, okay? So check this out. This is the thing I use the most because as Joris is here. Oh, hi Joris. So as Joris will tell you, Anrik Blatt cannot explain anything without scribbling a note. So if you ask him what's the time, he goes, well, I think it's about 1, 2, 3, 15 minutes past, but you know what, we're late, so you know what, let's smile. And you know, it's just part of my kind of like DNA. So I can't seem to explain anything without it, right? And then I will just literally go back to, this is now my still image, but I can change the image very, very quickly. So yesterday I was on a huge Zoom, and let me see if I have a screenshot of that. I mean, it's a big auditorium. And somebody was talking about, you know, oh, but with all these digital funnels, and it literally feels like you're in the Hotel California, you know, you can check out, but you can never leave. And literally within seconds, I can pull up my, you know, a background and bring that in there. Ooh, special surprise. I have a beautiful young girl that joined the crowd here. Laura Louise is here. So, there we go. She will hate me for that. She's like, hey, no, don't spotlight me. But the nice thing is I can mute her and unmute her, which you obviously cannot do at home. So, and I'm going to get into trouble for that statement later. That came out wrong again, as with most things, right? All right. So now back to the studio, okay? On the tour. So the 4 main screens that you see this is mirrored. This is not going to work. Yeah, over there. Those big 4 main screens. Those are Samsung TVs. And the FedEx guy that delivered them, I met him at the door and he's like, oh God, I really hope you meant to order so many of these and that wasn't just a slip of the finger. Those are mounted on the wall. The top 2 of them are, let me go full screen, so that those 2 are connected together with these side screens to the new Mac Studio, which is over there, which is a fantastic piece of machinery, by the way, because the Mac Studio can run 5 screens in 4K definition, or 4+1 screens in 8K. So the screen on my right over here, that is an old Dell screen, as is that one. Actually still Lolo is from our New York office. That's where we bought them. Just yesterday I took the stickers off. This one said LL and that one said AB. They were on our desk in, I don't know, where were we, 59th Street or somewhere up there. So these guys, they tilt vertically, and it's super nice because this one over here has all of the attendees in the meeting. So if I need to unmute somebody, or, you know, ask somebody to do something or directly chat with somebody, I just go to that screen. But then I can watch the main chat on this screen over here and instantaneously respond and see what's going on and see if there's a question, right? So anyway, so back to the screens. Those two are the main screens. Then, all right, let me see if I can get this right. This one right here, that is my content screen. That is connected to my old MacBook Pro, and that is where I essentially play content from. So if I want to bring up a music video, for example, or a little video clip or something like that, right? Literally, it's for me a one-click access. I just got to make sure that the microphone is on, okay? And use the correct mouse, and then literally you will hear that content and see David Guetta live in. So I just got to turn that music back off again because that gets really ridiculously loud. So that is my content player. So anything I want to share, any video that I want to show, any screen that I want to show is that. And I introduced that component because I used to use a whiteboard. I mean, those of you guys know, like if you've been in meetings with me, you looked at the back of me most of the time because I'm always scribbling on the whiteboard, right? So now I can very, very easily just jump quickly in here and go, okay, so the way that this looks is like that. And I can draw my boxes and illustrate exactly the thing that I want to show. So one click button, back to the main stage, right? And that is this ATEM Mini Pro. I think that thing is about $350 or something like it. If anybody's interested, I'll send you the link, but it's the best money that I've spent. Other than obviously the lapel microphones, which I've got on today because I was walking through, but also Laura Louise and I use them because Zoom does something really, really funny and interesting that is good, but it's also bad. What Zoom actually does in the meetings with you, if you're talking, it basically mutes my microphone without me knowing. And if I'm talking, it mutes your microphone without you knowing. So as it switches over, especially when you're in a real dialogue, it clips off the front of your conversation. And Laura Louise and I, when we're presenting together, like we're full of ideas and very passionate and engaged, and we're always talking at the same time. She tells me that is just how Italians communicate, whereas, being German, I am a big fan of, you wait your turn, then you finish, then it's my turn, and so on, right? So anyway, she obviously wins because she's certainly much more interesting to listen to than me, but we're always talking at the same time. So by having these two lapel microphones, again, yes, Laura Louise, it is always my turn, you're right. It's like, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is also mine, right? That principle. But these little lapel microphones are excellent. And they connect to your iPhone, and they can connect to your computer, and I think they really, really are very, very good. That David Guetta music is still playing here in the background. Maybe I should make that stop. So now the next screen that I want to show you is the one that's right here, okay? That is actually just a still picture on there right now, and that is when my meeting has more than 100 people, because remember, these big screens, they can handle 49 and 49 Zoom participants at a time. And they're just big enough so I can read everybody's name and connect and engage with you. But if I need more, then that's what that screen is for. But I also use it. Let me show you a cool little trick and an interesting thing. I hadn't prepared for this, so I should. We're going to go in the Capital Cafe. Joris, Joris still here, right? Or if anybody still has the dashboard open that you came into this meeting with, right? If you can open that up, that would be really cool. I'm just waiting for the thing to load, but I think I might have. When you do this live and you're working on your own tech, you've got to be careful because you can really mess things up and do the wrong things, and I do that a lot. But it's okay, like when you're doing these events, There we go. Okay, the Capital Cafe. You see the emojis. Somebody's hitting the emoji. So I can then literally switch to that background, right? And have the emojis coming up behind me. Laura Louise, can you press a few more of those as an example, right? The way that I use it, or Joris, you see how those emojis are coming up. I can tailor make those. Like with a number 1, number 2, number 3, or A, B, C. So as I'm asking the audience in a room, I'm like, okay, drop a 1 for this, a drop for that. Do you guys want to discuss capital raising, or shall we bring up Laura Louise and her, how to create and execute your magnum opus? What do you want to vote? And then some of them will have the little LL on it, and some of them will have the AB. And then when I see lots of LLs, I go, yep, I am not wanted here. Let's bring up Laura Louise, and off she comes. So it's a great way that you can have an interactive exposure without dropping all over the place, right? So that is basically that show and tell. So now let's continue the tour. I'm going to try and get this right. That screen up on top there, that is basically an old TV that I had in my office lying around that shows you the 4 different inputs that are coming from this ATEM Mini Pro, plus what everybody else sees. So now I've obviously frozen that picture a few minutes ago so that you can see what I'm seeing, but behind me is a green screen, right? And then that last one, little thing up there, those are my notes that are actually controlled. I am constantly in the way here. That are actually controlled from this iPad. So that is basically my meeting syntax. I don't script my meetings. I don't use teleprompters, that kind of stuff. You're lucky if I stay on agenda, but the idea is that I have the notes duplicated up there and right next to the timer, so I can approximately stay on time. So that is basically the show and tell of the setup here. The main camera is a Sony A600, I think I want to say it. I got to look that up. A digital camera that has a clean HDMI output, and that's going straight into this, constantly on the wrong side, into this ATEM splitter essentially. And then you'll see that there is a backup camera over there, which was a sweet gift from a friend of mine, but that is also an HDMI camera, and that is built in here as a backup, so that I can always go to that backup computer. If all of this technology fails in the middle of an event, and I've had that before, and Laura Louise will tell you, when we were in our first event, Giuseppe jumped up on the counter and dropped the coffee all over the stuff, and it caused all sorts of chaos. So that's where I said, you know what, we need a backup computer and a backup camera, and that is also connected to this microphone. So that basically is the show and tell. So let me go a little deeper with you for another minute and show you how this fits in to a funnel, because I got fed up with all of these systems. Like you have a website, then you have a CRM, and you have a database, then you have a landing page, then you have ClickFunnels, then from ClickFunnels you got to go to like Zoom and send all people these Zoom links, and I just got so frustrated that I recently went to something called Go High Level. So Go High Level is basically an all-in-one platform that does pretty much all of that. So that's over here where I can basically create landing pages, I can create websites, I can do emails, right? I can do whatever I want here. With the aim of getting people to basically come to my live event. So how do I get them to my live event, right? So I will just, because this is what I want to see, right? These are all Zoom windows where I can have a direct one-on-one VIP meeting with 10 people, 100 people, whatever in the room, right? So this is me on the main stage here, and I want to interact and engage with everybody in the meeting, and it's an absolute gift to be able to do that, because normally when you have an event, there's some like VIP seats in the front of people that you can engage with right here, but the people that are sitting in the back, you know, the back of the bus guys, or the people that are still playing on their phones, they don't really have a VIP experience. They can't really engage with you. But when you're doing it live and virtual like this one-on-one engagement is absolutely wonderful, because you're not talking to like a dead camera. You actually have a direct room, right? So it really all comes down to creating funnels. And a lot of people, I don't know, get turned off by the idea of a funnel, because that's really the thing that you're supposed to use to pour the fuel into your fuel tank. But nowadays, you know, they have all these like safety things that dribble fuel all over the place. That's my absolute pet peeve. But a funnel is really a way that you can, on a step by step way, attract your right fit client, repel your wrong fit client, and take your right fit client deeper and deeper into an authentic experience where you can add value to them, get to know them, and show them that you have the solution for them. This works incredibly well in the world of like financial advisors, private banks, hedge funds, venture capital, private equity, all that kind of stuff, because that is an industry, right? There's normally 5 steps in this. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I think it makes a lot of clear, because when you're trying to find a client, right, the first step is obviously to, you know, identify the client, and that in itself, you know, is almost a full-time job. The second one is to engage that client or potential client. Next step is reach them. Fourth step is create trust. And the fifth step, and only then, is convert. Sorry for the bad handwriting here. And this is the interesting thing when you're building funnels, because literally, I'm going to change color, 99% of the people on LinkedIn, they don't do that and they don't do that. They go straight from identification, if you're lucky, to try and reach you and attempt to try and convert you. And that is the number one problem with platforms like LinkedIn that have made it so easy. So how do you do that? Because literally this is what 99% of the people do. And if you can be, I think there's an undo button. If you can be the person that does this, does that, does that, does that, that conversion thing, that sales thing happens by itself. If you can engage your client properly and reach them in a way and actively create and build trust, the next obvious step, especially for us men, is, okay, all right, Michael, so how are we going to do business together? Women seem to have far more varied and diverse, interesting relationships, but we as men, we just like, I don't know, we want to annihilate each other on the sports ground or in a trading pit and, you know, basically kill each other. It's kind of what we do. I heard this funny thing on the internet the other day. Is like, men insult each other, but they don't really mean it. And women compliment each other, but they don't really mean it either. You know what I mean? We're just very, very different animals, right? And, you know, this I absolutely love. And if you ask me like, hey, listen, Andrik, what's the thing that you would do without getting paid for? It's literally this thing. So let's get to funnel building. Anybody interested? Anybody has questions about the studio before we move on? Let me just quickly check on the other Zoom room, which was hidden behind the screen, which I apologize. I've been ignoring that. But all right, no questions. Okay, so let's move on to funnels. So the basic idea of a funnel, okay, is literally you're trying to create a step-by-step mechanism. Let's call this 1, 2, 3, 4 steps that take this right fit client that you've identified, if you're lucky. And oh, I always take a black pen, so that's going to be one of those statements again. This is a black dude with a red hat and a blue feather in his hat. Okay, absolutely specific, your right fit client, investor, or partner. If you don't know who that is, you have a problem, because you don't know how to attract them. You don't know what their problem is. So normally when I start working with financial advisors, hedge funds, traders, etc., I go, all right, so who's your client? And they go, family offices. I'm like, really? Okay, that's like everybody these days. Like, I mean, every third-party marketer now calls himself a family office. Every fund of funds calls himself a family office. And it's just, it's ridiculous. It's a bunch of marketers basically trying to sell each other stuff, right? So I'm like, let's try again. Oh, RIAs. I'm like, yeah, which ones? There's the guys who have their own platforms, their own products. They will not touch your $5 million fund with a barge pole. Yeah, I mean, next. You have to really drill down on this. So in our events, we have a module that we teach, and that's called Finding Your Dot, where basically you start with why and keep drilling deeper and deeper and deeper through the levels until you literally have found your dot and you know exactly who your right fit client is. Today, obviously, I don't have the time for that. That's literally a 90-minute segment, and it's pretty deep because it actually has a lot to do with you, and it has a lot to do with your scar tissue. You know, your scar tissue that you either need to weaponize and use it or have it serve you as an anchor for the rest of your life, right? And your scar tissue is literally the most valuable stuff you have that will, if you can just embrace that, will make your right fit client literally come to you and knock on your door. But that is a slightly more complex lift and beyond the scope for today. So what I wanted to show you immediately today is one of the most successful funnels that's ever been created. And it's called a PLF. You can look this up. It's called a product launch formula. It was created by, I mean, his name just always keeps escaping me, because you know when you do these events, never mind how many times you do them, you get nervous and you say the wrong things. But Jeff Walker. So Jeff Walker is a guy who's based in Colorado, super sweet guy, very good at building communities, and he created this product launch formula approach, where because and I'm happy. Yeah, Jeff Walker, that's it, Michael. And I'm happy to take one of you guys as an example if you want, right? And we can talk through it. But let's say you've just launched a hedge fund, or you've just launched you've been trading in managed accounts, and you have a bit of a track record, and you're ready to go out and raise capital. How do you do that? Oh, I should have brought some water into my studio here today, but I did not. So the idea is to find your right fit client and then attract them to you, right? So how do you do that when they don't know you? Because you see, people with money don't have time. And as you know, people who have lots of time don't have money. Those are always that's the weird dichotomy in objections. So when you're trying to attract people with money, they don't have time. They have also been screwed and shafted and disappointed by pretty much everybody on the planet before, because they're public, right? And there's these jerks on LinkedIn that say, hey, listen, comment, something in here, and I'm going to send you a list of all the European family offices, and everybody gets the same list, and everybody's hitting these guys, and they've gone through the the Madoff guy who made off with everybody's money, and then the Sam Bankman-Fried guy, and they are bringing their baggage to your discussion. And if you walk in there and you say, hey, John, great, I'm the next best thing, I want to send you my pitch book. 99% of the time, you won't even get an answer. And if you do, and you're so lucky enough to get one of their junior guys, they're going to run you through the gauntlet of their process, which is designed to eliminate people like you. It is absolutely designed to eliminate that. So, they're polite. They're kind of not like me. So they are going to say, oh, yeah, Eric, I like that. You know what? Put me on the list. Send me your fact sheets and put me on the list. And then if you keep pestering them and annoy them some more, they're going to go, oh, okay, all right, okay, our process is here. Complete this due diligence questionnaire, then this one, and then when you're done, complete this due diligence questionnaire, and then you can come and have a meeting, right? And so you have all these meetings with people who do nothing but have meetings for a living. They cannot and will not invest in you. this is not obviously your right fit client. And that's why I say it's so important to work with somebody to help you identify your right fit client. So how do you reach them? And I will get back on subject now, I promise. One of the best ways, just think of it like this, right? You could create a webinar. Just please don't call it a webinar, because everybody hates those, and because you're expecting this thing with a very sexy hook that drags you into the webinar, and from the webinar you get like a 90% upsell and a 10% content thing, right? And that's the problem with webinars. And a webinar tends to be like, let's just call it 60 minutes. And very few people will stay through the whole thing and listen to the whole thing. And then you've got all this automation after a webinar, and you just drive everybody nuts. What if you took this webinar and you broke it up into some very clever segments? And I don't know, I can't see, maybe John has seen that training from me before, where I teach this football field of influence, because you see, like with your story, you need to earn the right. And if you have a good 30-second introduction, you have earned the right to listen to somebody for the next 3 minutes. And in those 3 minutes, you have earned the right to go 15 minutes or maybe 30 minutes deeper, right? So if you took your webinar content and said, okay, I'm going to break this up into a couple of segments. Oh, you are a lifesaver. Thank you. Laura Louise brought me some water. She's in there. The interesting thing is with green water bottles, the chroma key sometimes makes them disappear. Laura Louise came to a spontaneous meeting the other day, and she was wearing a green shirt, and it was very entertaining because everyone's like, wow, is she naked? Yeah. Anyway, back on subject. Wake up. So the idea is you take this webinar content that you would normally do and break it up into 4 or 5 pieces. And seriously, guys, this is really, really valuable. And I urge you to think of your business or your lift or the thing that you want to do, even if you're looking for a really big job. You know, if somebody's going to pay you like a couple of $1 million a year, trust me, you want this kind of thing, right? So in video number 1, this is really where your hook goes. But you can't just hook people. You actually need to add value. And that is the challenge. This is the hardest one that you have to do. And I suck at those, by the way, when I do them for myself. When I do them for other people, I'm really good at it. But you know, it's like a jar, can't read its own label. So in video number 1, you really want to hook somebody and add enough value to them where they go, ah, yeah, that guy is talking my language. He's really basically completing the sentences that are going on in my head, and the thing I said to my wife yesterday, right? And then that becomes essentially a sign up. Let me move to a different color. Actually, let me do this one thing quickly. This will help you make it a lot easier. I'm just going to go redraw this on a bigger page, right? So your landing page here at step number 1. And by the way, you don't need complex automation for this. You can literally build this on MailChimp. You can do this on WordPress. You can literally do this in your email program if you want, right? You can do this manually, because this is really your number 1 video goes here with very little distraction, and your call to action button goes over here. The idea is that you hook them on this first video, and you want people to take action, because guess what? Your right fit client is somebody who takes action. You don't want to have lurkers. Now, when you get disappointed with LinkedIn, which I do quite regularly, just remember that 57% of people are the lurkers. They read, they watch, they see your content, but they don't click like, they won't put a comment in, they won't do anything. They just keep watching your stuff. So you think that, oh God, I just did this post and I got 500 views. I mean, those are 500 actual views. People have watched it. They just chose not to engage. And even if you're really good at calling for engagement, all that kind of stuff, forget it. They're just not going to do it. That doesn't mean they're not watching. But in your video over here, you've got to convince them to take action. And that call to action can be literally as simple as, the simplest version is drop your email in here and I'll send it to you. The next best is give me your name and your email. My preferred one is give me your name, your email, and your phone number, because I love to deal with real people. I don't want to deal with people that are just mass downloading my content and never do anything with it. Yeah, I mean, my number one joy in life is when I actually help people, and I can only help people who take action. And if people don't take action, and if they're afraid to put their phone number in, it means I need to go back to work. I haven't done my job, right? So this is basically the sign up form. And from here, you go, and I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry that I'm taking a lot of time with this, because I really want you guys to understand this process. You then take them to a thank you page. So this is the thank you page, because you've got to link to something once somebody has done the submit button here, right? They go to the thank you page. Thank you page, there is another video that says, hey, Michael, thanks for downloading my thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm keep picking on Michael, but he's number one on the screen on the top there. Yeah, I mean, nice to see you, buddy. So thank you page, maybe with a little bit of things, and then down here, you show them what they're gonna get next. Those can be like little video thumbnails, but the cool thing is, I should have used a different color. They are grayed out. They are not in full color, because you're building a little bit of anticipation where people can go, oh yeah, I'm going to get that next. So then the next video, let's call that step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, 5, 6, and 7. These are essentially, you basically just go in there and you copy this page over here. You duplicate the page and you change the video. You can literally do phenomenal videos straight off your iPhone. I mean, the camera that is on an iPhone these days is better than anything that you spend a couple of $1,000 on, right? Really, really good videos. Don't worry if it's not perfect, like my videos. I mean, like, I suck at videos until I made myself a new framework. My videos are, unscripted, unedited, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged, right? And it's just my personality. That's it. I don't plan all this stuff. I just go and I produce a video. I don't even watch the video afterwards. I hit upload. And yeah, sometimes you get, shadow banned for using the F-bomb on Facebook and stuff like that, but so it goes. So the idea is that you want to deliver this content every single day for a period of 5 days. There's this magic thing that happens when you do that, because not only are you training your audience to actually get and receive your email, whitelist you, but you said you're going to send them an email every day, and you did. And over a period of 5 days, they will get to know you. And the idea here is, I'm going to again grab a new page because I get too messy in my scribbles, right? These are your, let's say this is your sequence. On day 1, you want to do at a minimum 90-10. What I mean by that, 90% add value, teach, don't sell, serving, helping, no selling. And then as you go down the line, if you want to, you can reduce that, but you never want to go beyond 60-40. 60% add value, 40% asking for something. I'm so awkward about the whole thing. I'm literally 99-1 because I hate asking people for money, even though I'm very, very good at it and have raised billions of dollars in my life. I just suck at it. I mean, in our first event, I was supposed to do like an invitation and an offer. And Laura Louise came up to me and she goes, so when are you doing the invitation and the offer? I'm like, I just did. And she goes, no, putting a hyperlink up on the screen is not an invitation. It's just, okay, that's my baggage. I don't like asking people for things. I add value, add value, add value, right? So this product launch formula is a terrific way, if you think about it, on a funnel basis, right? If we go vertical with this again, you've now taken the first few steps of the funnel, because you see somebody who gets, let me see, there's an eraser on it. Somebody who gets to video number 3 and never ever watches video number 4. Well, are they really your right fit client? Are they really interested? They might just go, yeah, you know what? Yeah, Mark, this guy, yeah, no, this is not my industry, or I don't invest in these things. This is not for me, right? Now, obviously we're all busy and we're all distracted, so we forget and we don't see it, and we're busy, all that kind of stuff. And this is where automation comes in, because in the best intentions in the world, yeah, I mean, oh, Michael says I have to go. Okay, sorry, no worries, buddy, man. You can catch, by the way, on LinkedIn, you can catch the back of this on the LinkedIn Live later, okay? Because that's running and the replay is up on that. Yeah, I mean, all right. So you have to introduce automation into this whole thing, and this is where you really want to have a cool system. And I love Go High Level. ClickFunnels can do this, but MailChimp can do this, Kajabi can do this, or you can do this manually if you're not sending out thousands of these, right? So remember, you got your sign up page, your little form, which goes to the thank you page, right? I'm just going to put a T in for that. And then you've got the sequence to video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4, and video 5, for example. So once you fill in the form and you go to the thank you page, you need to create an automation that sends these links out via email every day. So you then schedule email 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So let's just call that. These are all emails that you have pre-written and pre-scheduled. By the way, there are stacks and stacks of funnel hackers who will design this for you and build this for you and etc. I like to build my own because I find I understand the process better, and in that I connect with my clients better. And like even this morning, the first email I sent out had the wrong date on it. You know, but like shit happens, right? So email number 1 is going to deliver, let me pick a different color. Let's go with purple. That's such a wicked color. It's going to deliver your video number 1 on day 1. Email number 2 is going to deliver video number 2, and so on. Okay. The important thing in when you build and you design the page, right? And I can show you a sample of my DIY job that I just did, is as you have your page, right? You have your hero with your main video image here, and here are the thumbnails linking to the content on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, okay? The super important part, and don't forget this part, is that these thumbnails that are grayed out, right? So on video number 1, everything except video number 1 is grayed out. By the time you hit video number 5, you want all of these thumbnails to be live in full color and clickable. So if I click on this icon, I'm going to go to that video. This icon, I'm going to go to that video. So you see what you've basically built here by doing that is you have created a clickable website that leads to all of your content that you wanted to show people. And it's, if you're staying with the formula, 90% value add, 10% ask, now you've got a useful thing where somebody has looked at this content, where you've helped them and you've discussed the problem better than they can see it. You're not just selling to them like those other 99% of the people. You're adding value. You have now gone deep and very quickly into the trust funnel. You have now delivered this stuff. Next, 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 next. So by the time you get to the bottom of this little baby funnel and you have this call to action here, you're going to get about a 50 to 60% response rate from everybody who went through step 1, step 2, and at least to step 4. Because the people that have stayed, that have looked at your content, are the people that are interested, the people that you've added value to, but they now trust you. They've seen what you're like. They've seen your very strange sense of humor. They've realized, wow, this guy is really, really, really smart. Oh, this is interesting. No, this guy's got a really good handle on the whole geopolitical situation, and I think this guy can actually make money. So let me go to the next step. And this is where it gets super important. I've got a couple more minutes because now, remember, this is top of funnel stuff, right? So let's just call this top of funnel. Ooh, that is a horrible color. That is a rainbow color. We don't want that. So if this is your top of funnel activity, remember that you're using LinkedIn, Facebook, X, so that's LinkedIn, Facebook, email, even OPS, other people's stages. If you're on somebody else's stage, on somebody's podcast, on somebody's thing, people don't take action by themselves, right? You're basically creating this little top of funnel automation through these little boxes. Okay, you can see why I need this iPad so much, to drive people into the middle of funnel, okay? And the middle of funnel is where it gets complicated. This is where you need help, because now you need to design, like I do, a coffee shop, a regular meeting, something that is not you getting on an aeroplane going to see somebody. You know what I mean? Something, an intermediate step where you can actually talk one-on-one with them. I'm not a big fan of the, slapping somebody with a Calendly link and all that kind of stuff. I prefer to host a weekly event and have people come if they're interested. Sure, chase them with like 6 different emails if you want. Have people block you, have people delete you, all sorts of stuff. I mean, this morning, you won't believe it. Some guy blocked me because I invited them to this webinar, and he says, "I'm sick and tired of you Trump supporters." And I'm like, okay, all right, knock yourself out, you know what I mean? Look, I don't care, but it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? So people just are going to block you for whatever reasons, but normally it's their baggage, it's their problem, right? It's not got nothing to do with you, but you've got to create let me see if I can try and draw this. This is testing my artistic abilities. You want to create a little fireplace, okay, with some chairs around it. Those are supposed to be chairs because this is what we as humans do. We want to sit around a fireplace. We want to have some kind of fermented beverage, preferably some animal, that you've just sliced up and put on the grill, and sit around and talk about things and discuss things and go deeper and go deeper. So that is what the middle of the funnel is all about. Because then at the bottom of the funnel, you can have very, very specific steps of how I do business with you. And that's the convert stage over here. And this convert stage is super important because now is where you get to decide who your right fit client is and how you're going to deal with them, what your minimum investments are, what your process is, all that kind of stuff. If you start with that, you kill 99.9% of the deals. If you don't have a middle of funnel, basically you're just a pitch slapper and you're just slapping stupid stuff at people that have no interest in watching it. You need to create trust. And that is for those of you who've been to my events. By the way, here is my sales pitch coming. For those of you guys that have been to like my Raising Capital or my Crushing It events and stuff like that, that is the thing that we work on. Finding your right fit client, identifying it, how to reach them, how to create trust, how to literally build this machinery, how to create your signature story, break it up into the right pieces, and when to deliver it, right? So that's my sales pitch. That's what I do for a living. How can I tell you about it if you're not in my room? And that's why I host these events, because number one, I love connecting, love talking with interesting people, etc. But I love adding value to people where, there's a lot of people on LinkedIn that owe me a favor. And when I want a favor, I go, hey, can you come to my event and say something nice about me? Sure, count me in, right? And that's just a terrific way to be in business. But you need to create this for yourself if you don't want to keep going to event after marketing, sending out thousands of fact sheets and pitch books and never getting a response. I mean, that is just soul destroying stuff, right? So that is essentially how I use the studio. And that's why I wanted to show it to you. So you can literally recreate this same thing. I have 1 more minute to, have a laptop, have a good video camera, have good sound, by the way. That part's important. People will forgive you dodgy, grainy video, but they will not forgive you bad sound. And I'm really realizing that my levels are actually a little hot and a little high today. You can create just this environment at home. People don't like green screens. It reduces trust. So let me show you what it actually looks like without all of that, right? So let me see how I'm going to do that. That's going to be interesting. Okay, check this out. So we're going to go full screen and show you this is the green screen, right? So now close your ears because this thing makes noise. This is a retractable green screen in front of my brick wall. This is, I got Laura Lewis to thank for that. I'm just going to go in and zoom out here quickly. And you will see the whole studio. So people really prefer this. They prefer a real background, a solid background. It's a little messy in here. I haven't even packed away some of the cables and stuff like that. And people really enjoy that because when you're in their environment, like I have a lot of meetings with Joris up there. Right, so let me see if I can spotlight Joris. No, that's not Joris. That's Michael. Sorry, I got too many screens up here. No, that's Richard. Okay, so right, let me pick Joris. Okay, Joris, you're about to go center stage here. So this is Joris, who's turned into a friend of mine and who's actually a client of mine, and I'm a client of his, and he is a systematic money manager who I think does a really great job, right? So you can tell he didn't comb his hair today. He's got a Garfield t-shirt on, but people love it because he's very smart, he's very clever, he does a great job, he's totally dedicated, and they keep seeing him in that environment. You know what I mean? So eventually they forget that they haven't had a direct meeting with him. It's just been a Zoom meeting, right? And if you turn up often enough, people will go, yeah, that's cool. You know what? I appreciate that. Like I look at Mark's background there. That's a super nice background. I really like that because he's like a cool customer. He's a cool cat. He's sitting there. He's enjoying it, Sometimes kids run in. I mean, in my house, the dogs run in or the dogs bark. And people love to see you in your real environment. Everybody's okay with Zoom. It's not the handshake thing. Hey, there's the puppy. It's not the thing that gets you the handshake, but top of funnel, middle of funnel, excellent stuff. The bottom of the funnel, you've got to have a little bit of real live interaction where you actually go and shake someone's hand because you can't email a handshake, you cannot FedEx a cup of coffee. But I have a lot of clients, I mean, serious money changing hands, where I go, so Laura Louise, have I actually met this guy or not? You know what I mean? And you then realize, no, we met each other through LinkedIn, then we did this, then we did that, then we did this, then we did that. Do I need to meet him? Oh, yeah, sure. Invite him to the house, or let's invite him out on the boat, or let's go do something together, right? And it really, really works incredibly well. So, I am happy to stay here. I think we're going to cut off the LinkedIn Live. This is also going out on YouTube, by the way. YouTube is an interesting animal. I've never really used YouTube. I just use it to basically stockpile interesting videos that I need to embed and stuff like that. I was on there yesterday. I've got about 8,000 subscribers and millions of views. And I'm like, I should take this seriously because it's a very good search engine. So if you're creating social media content, the nice thing is with a platform like Go High Level, you create your content in that and it just pushes out to all the platforms right away, instantly. So you can really, really do that. So hold one quick second. I know, Joris, you have to go, but that's cool. I'm going to stop the LinkedIn Live, say goodbye to all the guys on LinkedIn and YouTube. And I've got one of the Zoom rooms that I'm going to close because there's an event